The workshop is situated in a small, artificial cave, somewhat farther from the thoroughfare. As I enter, I find myself face to face with a middle-aged woman seated atop a pile of cushions, carefully adjusting a set of scales. Her black hair, fair complexion, and deep blue robe, combined with her tall stature, give her an air of nobility and sophistication.
Have you come to seek my services?
Yes, I'd like to know if you could provide me with a crystal to protect me from the heat of the crystal forests.
I might be able to, but of course there is a price. And this time it is not measured in coins. I'm in need of a very specific item, you see. To obtain it is difficult and most likely perilous. Are you still interested?
I glance at Gorgoro beside me, who gives me a slight nod. Tell us more.
Great. As you might know, there is a multitude of different crystals in existence. Amazingly varied in size, shape, color, structure, magical potential, and rarity. The one I am currently looking for is one of purest white. No, not the one you ask for, that I already have here, and I will enchant it for you if you bring me what I need. This pure white crystal is extremely rare and, to my knowledge, can only be found in and around Loom with any kind of consistency. But who knows? Loom is a crystal forest on the border of the Jagged Waste and Arena's Vorax to the north.
How can one enter a crystal forest without the equipment I'm looking for?
That's the interesting part. You needn't go inside Loom itself, but underneath it. The area is infested with Yrg, and for whatever reason, these creatures have been known to hoard crystals in their lairs from time to time. If you manage to find a lair, you stand a good chance to obtain such a crystal.
Will we have to fight the creatures?
Not necessarily. Yrg can be placated by an incense called damp smoke, concocted from the slimegrass plant. I don't have any of that on me, but you should be able either to gather slimegrass somewhere wet and humid, most likely in a swamp, or purchase damp smoke in any larger town such as Torzag's Shelter, I suppose. Or you can take on the Yrg with sheer force. The choice is entirely up to you. Do we have a deal? A pure white crystal for an enchanted heat shield.
Can you tell me more about the Yrg?
I know little more than most. Yrg are huge insects that live in hives and share a common consciousness. The ones you see being used as mounts or beasts of burden are rogue specimens, taken from their colonies by specialised hunters, then converted into docile animals by Crystalmancer. You see, a small crystal with a mind-bending enchantment is embedded into a Yrg's headplate, and thus they can be controlled by people.
What kind of a threat this hive under Loom represents?
I'm no warrior. I told you I'd avoid a confrontation using damp smoke if I were you. If it comes to a fight, well, you're up against angry, stubborn, chitin-armoured drones the size of a horse. But that is not my concern. I provide the enchanted crystal. You deal with this any way you see fit. Do we have a deal?
Getting my hands on this plant might prove difficult, and carrying a drug around is even riskier. We'll probably have to fight. I reach out and shake her hand.
Very well. Come back as soon as you have the white crystal. Meanwhile, I shall prepare the enchantment for your reward.
I hurry to invest in protective gear. If we're going to skirt crystal forests, we'd better be well prepared. The sight is magnificent. From a high sand dune at dusk, we can see 4 majestic reflections, each a different color. Too far to make out the forests themselves, but it's easy to picture them. Before heading toward Loom, I decide to make a detour through the City of Crystal. I have no idea how long it will take to find the entrance to that Yrg-infested cave. Wonderful. The price of yellow crystal is nearly half what it is in Lumen. One thing's certain, I'll be coming back here in a few days. We find several crevices, mounds, and a few cave entrances in the area. Some seem natural, others might be remnants of old underground mines. At one point, Renkylan returns to us, a sign that he's found what we're looking for. I order the camp to be set up while we follow him. The tracks, unmistakably those of insects, lead toward a cluster of small hills. After a few minutes of walking, we come across a dark, foul-smelling hole. Judging by the footprints and the acidic mud around it, this must be the entrance to an Yrg hive. The underground cavern is gloomy and narrow, plunging deep into the earth. Dozens of small white crystals jut out from the mud-caked walls. From their dirty, dulled appearance, I quickly realize these aren't the ones I'm after. In the center of the room, two massive ant-like creatures are curled up. Everyone instinctively draws their weapons, expecting an attack. Nothing happens. I recall that Yrgs cut off from the main hive can become catatonic and sluggish. Lucky for us. As we tiptoe past the Yrg, their antennae begin to twitch slightly. Fortunately, they seem too apathetic to move, allowing us to press on. The second chamber is much like the first, though slightly larger. Two more of the same kind of creatures appear dormant, but no crystal stands out. Renkylan points to a crevice at the back of the room. We've barely begun to walk when the Yrgs lift their heads and start clicking excitedly with their pincers. They keep clicking and chittering. It takes us several tense minutes to get past them, but finally, we do. The next chamber is brilliantly lit, and I immediately understand why. At its center stands a massive glowing crystal, the size of a grown man's arm. This is what we were looking for. Unfortunately, it isn't unguarded. 3 Yrgs are keeping watch, but they appear to be asleep. I signal my companions to ready themselves for battle, then we step into the chamber. Gorgoro and Havek take the front, drawing the attention of the largest Yrg, while Renkylan and I slowly circle around the chamber in silence. And yet, the creatures do not attack. It's as if something is missing, the one who commands them. Using a weapon, I pry the crystal loose. It lies heavily in my hand and is indeed a magnificent piece of mineral. I have no idea what potent magic it could possibly unleash, but its immaculate look suggests it's worth a lot.
I suggest we leave quickly, Vagrus.
My thoughts will have to wait. For now, it's enough that we have it. I signal the others to leave this ghastly hive. That's strange. The Yrgs flee from us, clearly disturbed, perhaps even harmed by the presence of the white crystal. But I don't dwell on it, and soon we find ourselves outside.
I still have trouble believing we made it out unscathed.
We were extremely lucky, Vagrus. It's the first time I've seen Yrgs this passive.
You speak as if you've faced them before.
And I don't have fond memories of it. Quite the opposite. These creatures are true monsters.
As I arrive at the market, I'm faced with a problem. This town can't sell me enough supplies without endangering its own stock. With the night ahead of us, I need to find enough provisions to last 3, maybe even 4 more days. So, I make my first decision, to part ways with a few of my men, and I order the slaughter of one of our pack animals. Money lost, yes, but the business stays afloat, and the Comitatus stays alive. While my men head to the tavern, I quickly buy up nearly all the flavor crystal to make up for my losses. In addition, I purchase a few hunting dogs. The winds in this desert are growing increasingly erratic. Even the most seasoned travelers aren't prepared for such anomalies. My men and I have started to believe that voices drift within the wind, growing louder, more unsettling, yet never becoming more than repugnant whispers. The whole experience is deeply disturbing. As I descend into Shebeni's laboratory, I can see I have her full attention right away, especially since one of my men is carrying a linen sack.
I've been anxiously awaiting your return. Did you find what I asked for?
I order my men to unwrap the pure white crystal and lay it in front of her on the cushions. Shebeni's dark eyes go wide, and an involuntary sigh escapes her lips.
Splendid. Wonderful. Even more beautiful than I dared to dream.
I've fulfilled my part of the deal. The Crystalmancer flinches, as if caught unawares. As she looks up at me in slight confusion, her eyes reflect the inherent luminescence of the crystal.
But of course, forgive me. The beauty of this artifact caught me off guard. I'll be with you in a moment.
She disappears into a small alcove opening from the main laboratory and returns after some rummaging. She presents me a white shard, smaller and less bright than the one I brought her, but still quite impressive, heavily engraved and pulsating with sorcerous energy.
Here, I have already imbued it with the magic for the protective shield. You'll still need a potent spellweaver to operate it, but I guess you already knew that.
Unfortunately, I either didn't know or had forgotten that detail. Although the runes and the enchantment are clearly visible and pulsing, I've never actually seen a spellweaver in action, and I have absolutely no idea where I could find one to hire. I place the crystal in one of my chests, covering it with cloth to protect it, then turn my focus to my next destination, Drussian Quarry. Having acquired yellow crystal at a low price, I now intend to procure the obsidian requested by Mistress Candake. Prosperous beyond belief. That was the first thought that came to mind as we crested the pass and laid eyes on the quarry atop Sergorod's blade. A vast, terraced wound carved into the mountain, teeming with movement. Day and night, a veritable army of slaves and free workers labor without pause, tearing into the stone to extract the finest obsidian the region has to offer. To make the most of the journey, I filled our cargo holds with obsidian, heavy, valuable, and always in demand. Better to leave this place with profit, weighing down the wagons. As the last crates were being secured, Harvek approached me.
They're offering weapons and armor at very reasonable prices, Vagrus. You never know when we might walk into an ambush.
He wasn't wrong.
Faced with his reasoning, and a few eager nods from the others, I allowed Harvek to lead me to the merchant's stall. The selection was modest, but practical. I gave the order to load the newly acquired equipment alongside the obsidian. As we make our way toward Lumen, a break in the night sky reveals a massive fortress in the mountains to the south of our position. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I slightly alter our course. Dark towers claw at the overcast skies above. All around us, military personnel go about their duties within this grim fortress of black stone. One of the centurions agrees to meet with me and answers my questions. Unfortunately, ever since the fortress came under the control of the Imperial Army, there isn't much there lacking. Still, the quartermaster occasionally runs short on certain goods, coffee or salt, for instance, and the Empire pays well. Inspections and security checks by Imperial authorities are common on important roads, and sooner or later, I can't avoid them unless I avoid the roads themselves. At any rate, going up against these bailiff armies would be suicide, so I pay the road tax. Just like last time, Mistress Candake and Leviantus are deep in discussion. My men unload the crates of goods, while a pouch filled with broth is handed to me.
Well, isn't that nice? We're actually making progress. Ready to take the next step.
Of course.
Dyes, that's what I need right now.
Domina, we've talked about this. Being fashionable out in the desert is not so important.
Hush! It's not for being fashionable. I need them as indicators for certain procedures.
Yes, but maybe the other item on the list, bright kelp, is more of a priority. We'll need light.
All right, you dullard.
So it's bright kelp we need.
And dyes.
And dyes.
I wonder how Leviantus manages to put up with her all day long.
It will be done.